Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for blessing me with your time today. Hope you're in a happy mind state wherever you are in life. And today I want to talk to you about weed stocks. Is that something you should invest in? Should you have weed stocks in your portfolio? Before we get started, I do want to let you know that I'm not a financial advisor. Please consult with your own financial advisor. Please do your own due diligence before investing. And please do not invest any money you cannot afford to lose. With that being said, let's get started. So, a lot of these companies that I'm about to name off are down 60 to 80% from their all-time highs. And again, do your own due diligence. If you know that's something that you're interested in, again, I do want to caution that the marijuana sector, it's been moving very slow. A lot of investors have been losing money. Many of these companies have been bleeding money or due to debt that they took on. And so again, do your own due diligence, consult with your financial advisor if this is something that you're interested in. If it is, I'm going to name off 13 companies that you can invest in, to make maybe a little bit of money in the marijuana sector, if that's something that you're interested in. So number one is Altria Group. That's ticker symbol MO, that's Altria Group. By the close of today, their price for a single share stock was $44.24. They do have a market cap of $79.1 billion, and this company do pay a dividend of 8.3%. For many of you who do not know what Altria is, they used to be a tobacco company. They still are a tobacco company. They're one of the largest tobacco producers in the world, and some of the companies, they are affiliated, which I was surprised that they own Philip Morris, or they used to be called Philip Morris, but Philip Morris. If you're not familiar who Philip Morris is, they make cigarettes like Marlboros, and I think they also make Newports, and many of the popular cigarettes that's out there are owned or made by Philip Morris. Also, Altria Group is affiliated with Nabisco, and if you guys aren't, I'm sure many of you guys know what Nabisco, especially around Thanksgiving time when you're eating banana pudding, the wafers that you eat in there, it's probably Nabisco wafers. They have other things, mainly on the food side of things. Also, Kraft. Kraft is another company that's affiliated with Altria Group here, and again, they're mainly known for like cheese, macaroni and cheese, Kraft's cheese slices or whatever. So yes, Altria Group, last year they brought in a revenue of $21 billion. Again, they do have a market cap of $79.4 billion. So if that's something that you may be of interest, Altria Group, ticker symbol MO. Moving right along, we're going to talk about the next company, and many of you guys are probably familiar with this company. It is Scotts Miracle-Gro, and I can remember seeing a lot of commercials on Scotts Miracle-Gro, and if you aren't familiar with Scotts Miracle-Gro, they're more in the gardening sector, lawn and garden, how to more in the soil. And with Scotts Miracle-Gro, one share of their stock as a close of the markets today, today is Friday, is $56.55. This company's been around for quite a while. This company's been around since 1868. Again, they're in the lawn and lawn care sector, gardening sector. If you any women out there who's in the garden is probably familiar with Scotts Miracle-Gro. Maybe your mother, if she was into gardening, if your father was into growing crops or whatever, they're probably really familiar with Scotts Miracle-Gro. Any of your Lowe's or Home Depots, you'll see a whole shelf of Scotts Miracle-Gro growing or insecticides. And this company actually also pays a dividend. They do pay a dividend of 4.4%. And I am sorry, I forgot to mention that Altria, just want a side note here, Altria, they do pay a dividend of 8.3%. So I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but Scotts Miracle-Gro, they do pay a dividend of 4.4%. So if you guys aren't familiar with what a dividend is, it's pretty much where the company pays you a certain percentage to own their stock. You can own it one day, you can hold it a year, and again, you do want to kind of do your own research because the way some of these companies pay their dividend, some may pay it every quarter, some pay it bi-yearly, so every 6 months you may get a dividend payment, or some may pay it at the end of the year, end of the fiscal year. They will give you a certain percentage, so of whatever the share price of that stock is at that time. So again, that's Scotts Miracle-Gro. Moving right along here, the next company, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but it's ABBV, ticker symbol ABBV. Their share at the close of market today was $154.40. They do have a market cap of $274.6 billion, and they too also pay a dividend of 3.7%. This company, I wasn't really able to find much research on them, but what I could find is that they're more in the medical space, and so they deal with more of like cancers and diabetics and things of that nature. So with that being said, I'm assuming, again, do your own due diligence if this is a company that you're interested in. Again, they do pay a dividend of 3.7%. Price of their stock is $154. But they do go, they're more into the medical side of things. So if that's something you're interested in, and I'm assuming that they do like the medical, they're more on the medical marijuana side versus the consumption side of marijuana. So that is ABBV. I couldn't really find much about them. I'm sorry, I don't have much information on them, but again, BV, that's ticker symbol ABBV here. Yeah, so just kind of looking at them, they're not only in the marijuana sector, but they deal with other pharmaceutical. They also are distribution and sale of pharmaceutical drugs, a lot of your vaccines, a lot of things, again, like they deal with cancer, blood diseases, things of that nature. And so also I think they work on a vaccine for AIDS, or HIV, not AIDS, but HIV. This company also works in that particular field for vaccines for HIV. So again, ABBV, if that is something of interest to you, look them up, and again, to see if that's something that you really like. This company, well, not so much of a company, but this stock here is a little bit different from the others. So this stock here that I'm about to mention is an ETF here, and this stock is the Global X Funds Global X Cannabis ETF stock. So the ticker symbol for this one is POTX. That's POTX is an X-ray, POTX. And so I mentioned that this is an ETF, and this particular fund has exposure to many different companies. It has a very small percentage, very small percentage of exposure to each of the companies. But one of the sectors that this fund has, there's 10 companies that many of the companies that I've just listed is in this fund, in this POTX ETF fund. So you can look them up. You can go to their website. They have a website. You can look it up to see, which companies that they have in their portfolio. But what happens is that they invest. So for example, instead of just investing into one company, what they'll do is they'll take a fraction or a small percentage and invest in multiple companies. So this way, again, if the company is down and there's another company going, it doesn't hurt you that much. Whereas if you're investing in one company and that company crashes, it's possible you can get wiped out. With this one, again, you're getting a little bit of safe risk exposure to multiple different companies. And again, this particular fund, POTX, has exposure or has investments in 10 different marijuana companies. So that may be something you want to look at. I'm not recommending them, but again, if you're not really sure about which marijuana company you want to invest in, this may be a good way to go, because again, you get exposure to 10 different weed companies. You can go to their website to see what companies. They also have exposure to other companies, but again, they are starting to go into the marijuana sector. This fund stock ETF stock also pays a dividend of 0.86%. Again, they hold exposure to different companies there. So moving right along here, the next company is Aurora Cannabis. Now, Aurora Cannabis is as far as the price of a stock, is probably going to be the cheapest among this list here. But Aurora Cannabis, and the ticker symbol is ACB. For one share of their stock at close of today, Friday, is going to be $1.35. Now, they do have a market cap of $350.5 million, and Aurora Cannabis, surprisingly, is one of the largest and fastest growing companies in the marijuana sector for recreation. Again, they're one of the largest and fastest growing companies in the marijuana sector. Their primarily is based on, they produce marijuana, they distribute it, and they sell it as well also. So that would be something, if you would think about it, maybe like Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser beer. So Budweiser, they make their own beer, they distribute to the different stores, and they also, they sell it to the stores as well. So they're kind of more on a similar, same lines of them. And again, Aurora Cannabis, ticker symbol ACB, again, $1.35 a share, if that is something you are wanting. Very cheap stock. It is a penny stock, so with any penny stock, you do want to tread lightly. You do want to be buyer beware, because it is a penny stock here. The next company is Canopy Growth. Canopy Growth, that's ticker symbol CGC. For one share of this stock is going to cost you $3.73. They do have a market cap of $1.8 billion. Now, this company, if you ask any investor who is investing in marijuana, this is probably going to be one of the companies that comes up or they recommend to invest in. Now, Canopy Growth have been losing a lot of money. They have been taking on a lot of debt, but they've been losing a lot of money. When I first was exposed to marijuana stocks, this is one of the first companies that I invested in, and the share when I invested was about like $30. I don't remember I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, but it was like $30 a share. Now today, one share of the same stock is $3.73. So you see how much the stock has fallen. Again, a lot of these companies that I mentioned, they have fallen 60 to 80%. So the upside is, there's huge potential. I'm not, again, recommending that you invest in these companies. Again, do consult your own financial advisor. But with Canopy Growth, they are more on the recreational side. I mentioned the other companies, they are more on the medical side, but Canopy Growth is more on the recreational side. And they've also, and I don't know here, but they've also kind of partnered or divested or invested with a big company in Europe here, and so a big Europe cannabis company, sorry. But yes, Canopy Growth, again, you may want to look at that company, but again, if you talk to any investor or anybody who's deals with the weed sector, when it comes to investing, they're probably going to recommend Canopy Growth here, and again, talk to your financial advisor, see what they would recommend. Right now they are heavily in debt, several billions of dollars. I don't know exactly the exact dollar amount, but they are heavily in debt. So that is something you might want to consider if you plan on investing in that company. So the next company I want to talk about is Cronos Group, ticker symbol CRON. Cronos Group, one share of this stock is going to be $3.15. They do have a market cap of $1.1 billion, and primarily this company, they engage in the production, distribution of cannabis. Some of their brands, they are a Canada-based company. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you live in Canada or you've been to Canada, and you've tried any of their marijuana products, some of the products that this company owns is going to be um, Peace Naturals, Spinach, Cove, Lord Jones, and Peace. So you may see those brands in Canada, mainly in Canada. They also in Canada, I think it's become legal now, but they also sell over the internet. So you can purchase cannabis products for consumption or medical reasons over the internet now. So I think that's really cool that you can purchase, marijuana over the internet. You can place an order and it'll be delivered to you. I wish we had something like that here, at least in the state that I live in. I wish that would be so awesome. But yeah, Kronos Group, again, $3.15. They don't pay a dividend. Look them up if that is something that you're of interest, especially if you tried some of their products and you really like it. That may be a company you might be of interest in. The next company we're going to talk about is Constellation Brand. Now, Constellation Brand is a little bit different from these other companies that I've just mentioned because Constellation Brand is more in the alcohol, or not alcohol, but wine, spirits, and beer sector. And if you wanted, now Constellation Brands is probably well known for a lot of the liquor that they sell. So a lot of your high-end liquors, they're more in the tequila space. A lot of your fancy liquors. So I don't know right off the top of my head, and don't quote me for this. So I don't know if they own like Hennessy, but your high-end liquors like Hennessy or I can't think of high-end tequila, maybe Patron or Jose Cuervo or something like that. I don't know if those are high-end tequilas, but so they own like more of the high-end drinks. I think they have a huge percentage stake in Budweiser. They just purchased a huge percentage in Budweiser. But again, they're more in the sale, distribution, manufacture of liquor. So again, a lot of your wines. I think Moet is going to be is owned by Constellation Brands, but a lot of your fancy, expensive, high-end wines, a lot of your fancy, high-end liquor and beer. Your beer. I think they also own Corona. They own Modelo is one of their beers that they own. Again, Corona, those are high-end fancy beers. To me, they are, But yeah, Constellation Brands. So how they are affiliated with marijuana is they just invested last year, if I'm not mistaken, 1.4 or somewhere off in there, 1.1 billion dollars in the company that I just mentioned earlier, and that's Canopy Growth. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that puts them at a 40% stakeholder share, 40% stake of the company for their investment. So obviously, if a company that's like with alcohol, definitely sees something that they're willing to invest that much money into a company. Now, from what I was reading, the Constellation Brands have been losing a lot of money with Canopy Growth, but they're willing to keep their investment. They're not willing to abandon the company or remove their investment from that company. So this might be a company that you're interested in, especially if again, they deal with the high-end liquor, so they're probably going to be around for quite a while. Here again, $247.65 is what it's going to probably cost if you do want to buy a share of them. And on top of that, a plus side is they do pay a dividend of 1.2% here. Moving right along, here we're going to talk about the next one. Here is Grow Generation Corp. Ticker symbol GRWG. Grow Generation Corp. So Grow Generation Corp. I did buy a share of this stock, and I'm just kind of amazed how low this stock has fallen from the time that I purchased it. But if you wanted one share of Grow Generation Corp, it's $5.68. They do have a market cap of $366.7 million. Now, Grow Generation Corp is more similar on the lines of kind of like Scotts Miracle-Gro, if you're not familiar with them. But they are they operate a chain of kind of like grow stores. And it's going to be more on the side of, kind of on the weed side. But they're more for like, for your gardener. So They operate a chain of stores in North America that deals with like nutrients, grow assistance, the lighting, ventilation, things that you need to have good marijuana yields or a good crop of marijuana. This company invested in the lighting. You know, they sell those kind of items, and so they're very, you know, profitable. Now, no, I'm not gonna say profitable, but they kind of, again, they operate a chain. So, you know, I'm assuming they're doing something good, that, you know, that they're public, and, you know, if you're interested in buying a share of them, $5.68 is what it will cost to own a share of Grow Generation Grow Corp. So again, look them up if that's something that you feel that would work out for you. You know, look them up, and you know, again, talk to your financial advisor and see if that's something that they would recommend there. So this is the last company, moving right along here. This is the last company I'm gonna talk about, and it's again, kind of like with Canopy Growth. If you talk to any investor, anybody who invests in marijuana, this is gonna be a company. This is gonna be, I can't even talk tonight. This is probably gonna be another one of those companies that a lot of people make, people mention, you know, in conversation. They'll bring up in conversation. That's Tilray brand. I cannot talk tonight. I don't know. Tilray Brands, and Tilray Brands, for one share of this company, or one share of stock, is going to be $3.59. They do have a market cap of 2.3 billion. Tilray has mainly 4 sectors in the cannabis space. They deal with the business side of cannabis, they deal with the distribution side, and like with Constellation Brands, they deal with the beverage and alcohol, and also they deal with the wellness. So they have a broad range of products that they offer to the consumer. But again, Tilray has, you know, Tilray has kind of been in the news, maybe not lately, but they've been in the news because when they first became public, when they launched their IPO, their stock, you know, it was like almost $300, and now for one share it's $3. But not to say anything bad about Tilray. If you tried any of their products, they have great products there. If you ever tried them, great company, in my opinion, here. But yeah, look them up. So those were the companies that you can invest in. Again, do your own due diligence, do your own research, speak with your own financial advisor, and again, you know, don't gamble, don't invest in any money that you cannot afford to lose. Because yeah, these are great companies to invest in, but you know, who's to say tomorrow a lot of these companies can go to zero and you lose all your money. Side note here, for those of you who stuck around, I'm glad you did. I just want to throw in, if you haven't heard on the news, the Senate has just passed a bill that makes recreational marijuana more accessible to more states. So again, I'm not saying, you know, I'm not encouraging to invest in marijuana, but it may be something you may want to look at, or maybe add a small percentage in your portfolio. Again, ETFs like PotX. So with that being said, I'm gonna end this video. I hope you know, you're in a good mind state, happy mind state, and you enjoy the rest of your day.